I thought divorce would be my big escape, you know? Like, I really believed it was the solution to everything that made me feel stuck all these years. But now, looking back, I feel even more trapped than before. Hi, I'm Madison. I'm 33, yeah, 33 years old, and let me tell you, I thought I had it all figured out. I mean, I was this wife, a mom of two kids, living what I thought was this perfect life with my husband, Tyler. He was a good guy. Like, really good. Logical, dependable, all that. He never, gave me any real reason to doubt him. But me? I don't know. I don't know how else to say it. I felt bored. Maybe bored isn't the right word? Stuck? Yeah, stuck is probably better. I was stuck being this wife, stuck being this mom, stuck in this routine. I'd see people on like Instagram, out at bars, at concerts, just living it up without a care in the world. And I'd feel this ping, like jealousy or something. My best friend, Ellie, oh my gosh, she didn't help. Every weekend she'd call me like, Maddie, you won't believe the night I had. She'd talk about these wild parties, meeting new people, flirting with random guys. And I'd just be sitting there like, wow, is that what I'm missing? Tyler, though? I mean, he wasn't stopping me or anything. He wasn't controlling. Like, he wasn't that guy. He just had, boundaries, you know? He'd say things like, Madison, I don't think Ellie's crowd is good for you. Logical stuff, right? And ugh, I hated that. I hated how calm and reasonable he always was about it. He wasn't wrong. Ellie and her friends were, messy. They didn't care about anyone but themselves. And yeah, I used to live that life before Tyler and I settled down. But now? Now it felt like it was this distant dream I couldn't stop thinking about. It wasn't even about the partying, though. It was about, freedom. Yeah, that's the word. Freedom. I just wanted to feel like me again. Not Mom Madison or Tyler's wife Madison. Just, Madison. So, yeah, I started listening to Ellie more. She'd say things like, girl, you deserve to have fun again, or Tyler's never gonna change. He's too uptight. And, the more she said it, the more I started to believe it. Tyler wasn't controlling, but he had rules. He didn't want me out late, drinking, being reckless. And I guess, I took that as him trying to hold me back. So one Friday night, I threw on this dress that I hadn't worn in forever, told him I was going out, and left. I could tell he wasn't thrilled about it. Like, he raised an eyebrow when I said it. But, he didn't stop me. He just said, be safe, and went back to whatever he was doing. And in that moment, I felt, I don't know, powerful? Like I was finally taking back control of my life or something. That night was, everything I thought I needed. The music was loud, the drinks were flowing, and Ellie was hyping me up like, Madison, you look hot tonight. Tyler's gonna regret letting you out of the house. I laughed, even though deep down I knew Tyler wasn't letting me do anything. He just didn't want to fight about it. I danced, I drank, I laughed with strangers. And for a few hours it felt freeing. Like I was shaking off all the stress of being a mom, a wife, the everything I'd been holding on to. But then, the guilt started to creep in. Just a little. I ignored it, though. Pushed it way down. Ellie kept saying, you deserve this, girl. You're more than just someone's wife. And, I let myself believe it. The next morning, Tyler didn't say much. He didn't have to. He gave me this look, ugh, you know the one? Like he was disappointed but too tired to argue. Made me mad. Like, why couldn't he just let me have this? Why did it always feel like a battle? I started going out more after that. Not like every night or anything, but enough. Enough for Tyler to start pulling back. He didn't argue when I left, didn't ask who I was going with anymore. And, at first I thought that was a win. Like I had finally convinced him to back off. But, looking back now, I think I just wore him out. Like, he stopped fighting because he knew it wouldn't change anything. And that? That should have been a wake-up call, but it wasn't. One Friday night, I was getting ready to head out again. Ellie had planned another big night at some rooftop bar downtown, and she was texting me nonstop like, "Girl, we are owning the city tonight." I was all in, wearing this dress Tyler used to say was his favorite, a black one that hugged in all the right places and heels I could barely walk in, but whatever, they looked great. Tyler walked past the bathroom while I was fixing my makeup. He paused in the doorway, leaning against the frame. I caught his reflection in the mirror and, for a second, I thought he was going to say something. Compliment me, maybe? Ask where I was going? But no. He just looked at me and said, "Again?" I rolled my eyes, brushing on mascara like I didn't care. "Yeah, again," I shot back, my tone sharper than I intended. "What, is that a problem?" He didn't say anything for a moment, just stood there with his arms crossed. "No," he finally said, his voice calm. "Not a problem. Just don't stay out too late." And then he walked away. That should have been a red flag, but I ignored it. Like, why wasn't he fighting me on this? Why wasn't he trying to stop me? It almost felt worse than if he'd gotten mad. The bar that night, Ellie introduced me to this guy, Ryan. He wasn't like the other guys who would, try way too hard. He was smooth. Confident, but not cocky. We talked for a while, nothing serious, just casual. He bought me a drink, and Ellie gave me this look like, "Oh, this is good." And, I didn't stop it. I told myself it was harmless. Just talking, right? I wasn't doing anything wrong. But deep down, I knew it wasn't nothing. The next morning, I woke up to a text from Ryan. Something like, "Hey, hope you got home safe. Had fun talking to you." My stomach did this weird flip, you know? Like it felt good, too good, but also wrong. I stared at the message for a while before typing back, "Yeah, made it home safe. Thanks. Last night was fun." Thought that would be it, but, it wasn't. He kept texting. Little things at first, just jokes or asking about my day. And I kept responding because, I don't know, felt nice to have someone paying attention to me like that. Tyler didn't even notice. Or at least that's what I thought. A few weeks went by and Ryan's messages became a regular thing. Nothing crazy, just small talk, some compliments here and there. But, it was enough to give me this weird buzz, you know? Like every time my phone lit up, I'd feel this rush. And I'd justify it to myself like it's harmless, right? It's just texts. I'm not doing anything wrong. But Tyler, he noticed. He didn't say anything at first, but the way he looked at me, it was different. Quieter. Like he was watching, waiting for me to slip up. And, one night I did. I was on the couch, scrolling through my phone while Tyler was upstairs putting the kids to bed. Ryan had sent me a picture of some view he'd taken while hiking, and I was typing out a response when I heard footsteps on the stairs. My heart skipped, but I didn't look up right away. Tyler walked into the living room, and when I glanced at him, he was holding the iPad. My stomach dropped. He didn't say anything at first, just held it up, screen facing me. "Forgot to log out," he said, his voice calm. Too calm. I froze. "What are you talking about?" I asked, trying to sound casual like I didn't already know. "Ryan," he said, tilting his head slightly. "You've been texting him a lot, haven't you?" His eyes locked on mine, and, I felt like I couldn't breathe. I laughed, nervously, too loud. "Oh, come on, Tyler," I said, waving it off. "You're really going through my messages now? That's a little much, don't you think?" His jaw tightened, but he stayed calm. "I didn't have to go through anything," he said. "You left it open. Text just popping up. Okay, so what?" I shot back, crossing my arms. "We're just talking. It's not a big deal. You're making it a thing when it's not." Tyler raised an eyebrow, flipping through the messages. "Just talking," he repeated, his voice cold now. He scrolled, reading one aloud. "You're cute, too bad I'm married." He looked up, his eyes sharper than I'd ever seen them. "That's just talking?" I opened my mouth to argue, but nothing came out. My face was burning, and, for the first time, I didn't know what to say. It's not like I cheated, I finally said, defensive. I didn't do anything physical. You're blowing this way out of proportion. Tyler's laugh was short, bitter. No, Heather, he said, his voice low but steady. I'm not. You don't get it, do you? It's not just about what you did or didn't do. It's about the fact that you entertained it. That you even let it happen. I rolled my eyes, folding my arms tighter. Maybe if you weren't so boring all the time, I wouldn't need to. Need to what? He interrupted, stepping closer. Feel alive? Get attention? You want freedom so bad, Heather? Fine. Have it. He turned and started walking toward the door. Where are you going? I snapped, my voice shaky now. You're just leaving? He stopped, turned back for a second, and said, No, I'm letting you have exactly what you wanted. And then he left. I stood there, staring at the closed door, my heart pounding. He'd never left like that before. Sure, we'd argued, but he always cooled off and came back after a few minutes. This time, though, something felt different. I told myself he'd be back in an hour, maybe two, once he'd had time to calm down. But deep down, I wasn't so sure. The house felt weird. Too quiet. I sat on the couch, my phone still in my hand, staring at the last text from Ryan. I should have deleted it, should have blocked his number right then and there, but I didn't. Instead, I just sat there, scrolling through our messages like a total idiot. The hours ticked by, and Tyler didn't come home. I sent him a quick text. Hey, are you okay? But there was no reply. I tried to act like it didn't bother me, but the knot in my stomach kept getting tighter. By midnight, I gave up waiting and went to bed, telling myself he'd probably just stayed at a friend's or, I don't know, gone for a drive to clear his head. But when I woke up the next morning and his side of the bed was still empty, panic started to creep in. I checked my phone, but, no texts, no missed calls, nothing. I sent another message. Tyler, come on. We need to talk. Let's figure this out. Still nothing. By the second day, I was pacing the house, checking my phone every 5 minutes. The silence was unbearable. The kids started asking, "Where's Daddy?" and I had to plaster on a fake smile and say, "Oh, he's just, busy with work, sweetie." But they weren't dumb. They could feel the tension, the emptiness. When day 3 rolled around, I heard the front door unlock. Relief flooded me as I rushed to the door, expecting to see Tyler standing there, ready to talk. But instead, it was him and a lawyer. What's this?" I asked, my voice shaky as they walked in. Tyler didn't look at me. He just moved past me, heading toward the closet by the stairs. The lawyer stayed by the door, clipboard in hand, looking way too formal for my liking. "I'm just here to grab some things," Tyler said flatly, pulling a duffel bag out of the closet. "Grab some things," I repeated, my voice rising. "Tyler, come on. You're being ridiculous. This is just an argument. You don't need to..." He didn't let me finish. "It's not just an argument, Heather," he said, his tone calm but ice cold. "This isn't working anymore." "What do you mean, not working?" I snapped, trying to keep my composure. "We've had fights before, Tyler. You're overreacting." He zipped up the bag and slung it over his shoulder, finally turning to face me. His eyes were steady, but there was no warmth in them. "I'm done," he said simply. "Done?" I scoffed, crossing my arms. "Oh, please. You're just mad. You'll cool off. You always do." He shook his head. "Not this time." I blinked, trying to process his words. "Not this time," I repeated, my voice shaking. "What does that even mean, Tyler? You're just gonna what, leave? Walk out on your family? On the kids?" He sighed, his eyes flickering with something, regret maybe? But it was gone in an instant. "I'm not walking out on the kids," he said firmly. "I'll always be there for them. But you and me? We're done, Heather. I can't keep doing this." I laughed nervously, throwing my hands up. "Doing what? What are you even talking about?" We've had arguments before and we've always worked through them. This is no different. He tilted his head slightly, his expression unreadable. You really don't get it, do you? He said quietly. This isn't just about the arguments. It's about the lying, the sneaking around, the way you've checked out of this marriage while pretending everything's fine. I'm done being the only one trying here. I opened my mouth to argue, but the words caught in my throat. For the first time, I didn't know what to say. I wanted to yell, to accuse him of being dramatic, but something about the finality in his voice made me hesitate. You're just throwing away 10 years? I finally managed, my voice breaking. After everything we've been through? You threw it away first, he shot back, his tone sharper now. I've been watching this fall apart for months, Heather. I tried to talk to you. I tried to fix things. But every time you brushed me off like I was the problem. Like you were the only one who mattered. That's not fair. I snapped, anger flaring up. I've done my part, Tyler. I've been here taking care of the kids, the house, everything. And what about us? He countered, his voice rising for the first time. What about the nights you're out with your friends, ignoring my calls, coming home late and acting like I'm not even here? What about the texts, Heather? The ones I wasn't supposed to see? I froze. My stomach dropped. I didn't do anything. I stammered, the words tumbling out too fast. They're just texts. Harmless. Nothing happened. He laughed bitterly, shaking his head. Harmless, he repeated. You really think that makes it okay? That it doesn't hurt? That it doesn't matter? I couldn't meet his eyes. My hands were trembling and my chest felt tight like I couldn't catch my breath. Tyler, It's too late, he interrupted, his voice calm again, but this time it was colder. I've already talked to a lawyer. You'll get the papers soon. Papers? I echoed, my voice barely a whisper. You're serious? Dead serious, he said, his gaze unwavering. I've been serious for a while. You just didn't notice. I stared at him, my mind racing. This couldn't be real. It was just a fight, a rough patch. We could fix this. Couldn't we? Tyler, I started, reaching for his arm, but he stepped back, out of reach. Don't do this. Please. Let's just talk. We can fix this. He shook his head. I've done enough talking. Now it's time for action. He turned to the lawyer, nodding toward the door. We're done here. I watched him walk out, the sound of the door closing behind him echoing through the house. For a moment I just stood there, frozen, my mind blank. Then, like a tidal wave, it hit me. He wasn't bluffing. He wasn't coming back. I sank onto the couch, my head in my hands, the weight of his words crushing me. This wasn't just a fight. This was the end.